Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. So I'm here with another video. This time I have chosen a theoretical subject, that is corporate and other laws. As per the ICAI module, it is from part 2, that is other laws, chapter number 1, the Indian Contract Act 1872, and my video is from unit 1, that is contract of indemnity and guarantee. So I want you all to know that my notes are prepared from ICAI module itself, and I really hope you will like this video. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe my channel for more of such updates. So let's start. The Indian Contract Act 1872. Unit 1, Contract of Indemnity and Guarantee. So it is given in section 124 of the Indian Contract Act 1872. So what is a contract of indemnity? It is a contract by which one party promises to save the other from the loss caused to him by the conduct of the promisor himself or by the conduct of any other person. For example, there is a person, Mr. X. He contracted with the government of India that after finishing his studies abroad in so-and-so university, he will come back to India and serve the nation for the next 5 years. Now, if Mr. X fails to do so, he will have to compensate the government for the same. It is because there is a contract of indemnity between the government and Mr. X. I will give you one more example. Suppose if there is a person, Mr. X, and he has lost his share certificate. Now he has requested the company to provide him a duplicate share certificate for the same. Now there is a contract of indemnity between the company and Mr. X that if in future any person produces the original share certificate in front of the company, it becomes the duty of Mr. X to compensate the company regarding this loss. Now we'll move forward to parties to the contract. So there are two parties to the contract, indemnifier and the second party is indemnified or indemnity holder. So an indemnifier is a person who promises to indemnify and save the other party from the loss. On the other hand, indemnified or indemnity holder is a person who is promised to be saved against the loss. Rights of indemnity holder when sued. So it is section 125 of the Indian Contract Act. So what are the rights of the indemnity holder in case he is sued? So to recover from the promisor. What to recover? All the damages which he was compelled to pay in the suit. All the cost which he may be compelled to pay in bringing or defending the suit, and all sums which he has paid under the terms of any compromise of the suit. When does the liability of an indemnifier commence? Commence means starts. When does the liability of an indemnifier starts? As soon as the liability of the indemnity holder becomes absolute and certain. So when the liability of the indemnity holder becomes absolute and certain, that means up to liability honi hi honi hai, it becomes very much certain, then only the liability of an indemnifier commences. Next is contract of guarantee, section 126. So a contract of guarantee is a contract to perform the promise made or discharge the liability of a third person in case of his default. So it A contract of guarantee is a contract to perform the promise made or discharge the liability. Liability of whom? Of a third person in case of his default. So what are the parties to the contract? So the number one party is surety. Second party is principal debtor. And the next is creditor. So who is a surety in the contract of guarantee? Surety is a person who gives the guarantee, is the person who gives the guarantee. Principal debtor is a person in respect of whose default. In respect of whose default guarantee is given. And creditor is a person to whom the guarantee is given. Now, there is a relationship between these three parties. If the relationship is between the primary debtor and the creditor, then this relationship is known as primary contract. And if there is a relationship between this surety and this creditor, then this relationship is known as secondary contract. And if there is a relationship, okay, and it is not a very much certain relationship, there is an implied relationship between surety and principal debtor. Implied contract means that obviously there is a contract. It needs not to be explained. It is implied. That means अपने आप ही एक unsaid contract हो जाता है between surety and principal debtor. Now we have essential features of a guarantee. So number one feature is principal debt. So to make a contract of guarantee valid, there must be an existence of a principal debt in respect of whom the guarantee is given. Then we have consideration. So what is a consideration? It is any promise made, anything done, or for the benefit of the principal debtor. Now, existence of a liability. There must exist a liability in respect of which the guarantee is to be given. If there is no liability, then in respect of whom the guarantee will be given. Okay. Then no misrepresentation or concealment. So this means that there must be no misrepresentation. That means there must be no hiding, or there must be not false presentation of any facts, right? Concealment means hiding vital facts, okay? Then writing not necessary. So the contract of guarantee can be oral or written. Now, joining of other co-sureties. So it means that where a surety have imposed a condition that the contract of guarantee will be valid only if one more surety or one more person shall join in as a surety. Then only the contract will be valid. Then if that such other person does not join in as surety, then that contract is not valid. Okay. Next we have types of guarantee. So there are two types of guarantee, specific guarantee and continuing guarantee. A specific guarantee is a guarantee which extends to a single debt or a specific transaction. On the other hand, continuing guarantee extends to a series of transactions. Nature of surety's liability. So number one is it is secondary, which means that surety is liable only on default of principal debtor. So the primary liability is of the principal debtor and surety is having the secondary liability. Then it arises immediately on default of principal debtor. So the liability of surety is very immediate as on the default of principal debtor. Then creditor has right to sue surety directly. So the creditor can directly sue the surety. Next we have discharge of a surety. So how a surety is discharged from the contract of guarantee? So number one is by revocation. So there are various points under revocation. By giving notice. So if surety gives the notice of of him getting discharged from the contract, so he can very easily leave the contract of guarantee. Then on surety's death, if surety is no longer alive, how can he be in the contract of guarantee? As soon as surety dies, he is discharged from the contract of guarantee. Next is by novation. So the surety is discharged from the contract of guarantee by novation. Now what is novation? Novation means if the existing parties or the new party come into a fresh contract and the original contract is discharged. So as the original contract is discharged, is no more valid, so the discharge of a surety is also there with that contract only. So novation means when the existing parties or the new parties come into the fresh contract. Okay. Next is by conduct of the creditor. So surety is discharged from the conduct of the creditor also. There are various points in this also. Variance in terms of the contract. Variance means changes in the terms of the contract. If creditor and principal debtor changes the terms of the contract, then surety is automatically discharged from that contract. Then we have release or discharge of principal debtor. So if principal debtor is discharged or released by the creditor, then automatically surety is also discharged from the contract. Next is if the creditor compounds with, gives time to, or agrees not to sue the principal debtor. This means if there is change in the composition of the contract, or the creditor promises to give time to the principal debtor, or the creditor promises not to sue the principal debtor, then the surety is automatically discharged from the contract. It is similar to point number 1, variance in terms of the contract, right? Fourth is by creditor's act or omission impairing surety's eventual remedy. So if creditor performs any act which hampers the surety's remedy, then the surety is automatically discharged from the contract. Then we have on invalidation of the contract of guarantee. It means that the contract of guarantee becomes invalid. जब contract of guarantee ही invalid हो जाएगा, then obviously the surety is discharged from his liability. So, guarantee obtained by misrepresentation. So, the contract of guarantee will become invalid if the guarantee is obtained by misrepresentation, which means false presentation of the facts. Then guarantee obtained by concealment is invalid. Concealment means hiding of the vital facts. Guarantee or contract that creditor shall not act on it until co-surety joins. So it means that if surety has put up a condition that the contract will become valid only when another person as co-surety joins in, then if that another person as co-surety has not joined in, then that contract is not valid and surety is automatically discharged from that contract of guarantee. Now we have cases where surety is not discharged. when agreement made with third person to give time to principal debtor. So surety is not discharged when there is an agreement made with the third person to give time to principal debtor. So the principal debtor has not made an agreement, or the creditor has not made an agreement with principal debtor. The agreement is made with a third person. So the surety is not discharged. Surety will be discharged if there is an agreement between the creditor and the principal debtor. But in this case, there is not an agreement between creditor and principal debtor. There is an agreement made with a third person. So surety cannot be discharged in this case. Next is creditor's forbearance to sue does not discharge surety. So what is the meaning of this word forbearance? Forbearance means patience, self-control. So if creditor is patient on not suing the principal debtor, then this is not his mistake and this cannot discharge the surety. Creditor is patiently waiting for the principal debtor to perform his debt, to perform his liability. So this cannot be creditor's mistake and this cannot give surety a chance to leave the contract. So surety is not discharged in this case. Then we have rights of a surety. So what are the rights of a surety? The number one is rights against the principal debtor. So number one is right of subrogation. It means that when the surety performs his duty or pays off the debt to the creditor, so now surety comes into the shoes of the creditor. Second is right of indemnity. It means that the surety has all the rights to get indemnified from the principal debtor, which means now the principal debtor is liable to the surety. He should compensate the surety for all the payment which the surety has done to the creditor. The payment which he has done lawfully, not the unlawful payment if he has done any. Okay. So next is rights of a surety against the creditor. So first is right to security. So on payment of the debt of the principal debtor, now the surety has all the rights to the securities of the principal debtor which the creditor is having with us. Okay. Next is right to set off. It means that the surety has full right to set off his claim with the creditor. Next is right to share reduction. On insolvency of the principal debtor, the surety has a right of share reduction. That means reduction in the liability of surety. Next we have right against the co-sureties. First is right to contribution. So the co-sureties have a right to contribute equally. Next we have liability of co-sureties bound in different sums. It means that the liability of the co-sureties is to the limit to which they are bound to pay. So the maximum limit fixed by these sureties is the limit till which they are bound to pay the sum. So with this we end this chapter. I have prepared these notes from ICAI module of May 2021 and November 2021, the module which is referred for both the attempts. Okay. And if you found that the video was helpful, then do like and subscribe my channel so that you can keep me motivated for providing more of such videos. Thank you.